Hello everyone and welcome back to Gluten Free, a channel dedicated to people such as myself who struggle with wheat-based products. Today we're going to be doing a little competition. Being gluten-free, I've had to learn to work with different types of flour blends, and today I'm going to be putting two of these head-to-head to see which one makes the best pancake. Our competitors are Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 baking flour versus Betty Crocker gluten-free variety baking mix. And just for a bonus, I'm going to be making these pancakes a little bit special. I'm going to be making sour cream banana pancakes. A few things we're going to be looking for when scoring this is the texture, how fluffy the pancake turns out, the structural integrity, and overall the taste. Let's get started. In a large bowl, combine 1 1/4 cup of 1-to-1 baking flour, 3 tablespoons of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and quickly take a whisk and mix these up together before adding our wet ingredients. Make a well in the middle of the flour and add your 1 cup of milk, 1 large egg, and 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Next, to make these sour cream banana pancakes, we gotta add our sour cream. Add 2 heaping spoonfuls of sour cream into the mix. Lastly, mix your batter together, and if you find that it's a little bit thick, add a little bit of extra milk just to loosen it up. And then set that aside so that we can work on our next batter. Alright, time to use the Betty Crocker variety mix. Don't let the box fool you. Yes, it looks like it's made just specifically to make pancakes and waffles, but that's not the case with this mix. It does have a recipe in the back of the box for pancakes and waffles, but I've actually used this to make anything from cookies to banana bread. So in a large bowl, combine 1 cup of the Betty Crocker flour, 1 large egg, 3 tablespoons of butter, 1 cup of milk, and 2 heaping spoonfuls of sour cream. Take your whisk and mix this until combined. At this point, if you find that your mix is a little bit too thick, add a little bit of extra milk just to thin it out. When looking at both of these batters side by side, you can definitely tell that there's a difference in the flour blend. At this point, we're going to preheat our frying pan while we slice up some thin banana pieces for the banana part of this pancake. I started off with cooking the 1-to-1 baking flour pancakes, and they were a little bit bizarre. Normally when you're cooking pancakes, you know that the bottom is done because the top bubbles up. I didn't find that happened with these pancakes. Cooking the Betty Crocker pancakes, on the other hand, they did that typical bubbling, which let me know that the bottom portion was done. After all my pancakes were cooked, I added a little bit of butter and some maple syrup. So, full disclosure, I've used both these flour blends before in the past. And if I'm being completely honest, I am really not a fan of the 1-to-1 baking flour. I don't know what it is, but I find that it has this bizarre aftertaste. So overall, let's break it down. Starting with the 1-to-1 gluten-free flour, texture-wise, I gave it a 3 out of 5. The texture was pretty good, wasn't the best, but it was decent. Fluffy, yes, these were definitely very fluffy pancakes, but I also believe that that has a lot to do with the amount of baking powder that is in this recipe. Structure-wise, these definitely held together, especially once you topped it with some butter and syrup. But taste overall, I gave it a 2 out of 10. The taste, I really just couldn't get past. It wasn't very good. And that gives us a grand total of 13.5 out of 25. Now for the Betty Crocker. Texture-wise, I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. Definitely, the texture was an improvement from the Bob's Red Mill, but overall, pretty decent. As for the fluffiness of these pancakes, I ranked them at a 3.5 out of 5. They definitely were fluffy, just not as fluffy as the 1-to-1, but I do believe that had to do with the amount of baking powder that we put in the first recipe. Structure-wise, I gave these a 3.5 out of 5. I did find that they do tend to break apart quite easy once you add syrup on them, especially if they are warm, freshly out of the frying pan. And then overall taste, I gave this a whopping 9 out of 10. The taste of these was fantastic. No weird aftertaste, nothing but deliciousness. Overall, that gives us a grand total of 20 out of 25, which makes Betty Crocker our winner. Overall, I highly recommend the Betty Crocker flour, and if you get an opportunity to pick it up, I suggest you do it. Truthfully, out of all of the gluten-free flours I've come across, this one is probably the most readily available because of the fact that it is made by Betty Crocker, which is fantastic for us people with celiac. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any other types of flour blends you'd like me to test out on this channel, please don't forget to mention that down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and like my video, and I will see you next week. Bye!